The C Real Squad. What's happening, y'all? The C Real Squad. We back with another horror. Man, it's 2024. I think we're wrapping up with the horror. We're gonna jump on Eastern Facts, man. We back at it again. So this one is like three disturbing true horror stories. Now everybody knows when you get neighbors, your neighbors can be like nosy and stuff. Oh, hold on, bro. I gotta go get something to say. Shoot, now a lot of y'all see me drink this shit. I've been making my own juice. It's pretty good. The juice in the store, like, it's alright. I want to try something new. But yo, anyway, we gonna get into the spooky. You already know. So we gonna see what this one is doing, man. See how this is. Oh yeah, appreciate all the new supporters, man. We up to 235. Get this going. Oh.
Listen, there's a good chance somebody's trying to hack your website right now. You gotta make sure you're covered. I'm talking about enterprise-grade security built into your site and fully managed for you. Check this.
Story 1.
My two kids, Sam and Robbie, are twins. They're 6 years old. A year ago, we were living at our old house, but something happened that led to us moving.
I be damned. I had that green. I'm always losing life. Alright.
It's a long, awful story. I lived in my old house for 4 years. My wife Carol and I got married while I was living there, and we had our kids there too. The neighborhood was slowly changing, and not for the better. But even still, we originally planned on staying in that house for the foreseeable future, until this happened.
You hear the computer going crazy in
We
the
were a corner
background.
house, and the house
I
behind...
don't understand it, but I got a new computer, so we ain't gonna hear that. I'm just trying to finish up all the videos for the new season. We'll probably have a new program. Shit.
Behind us on the intersecting road was covered by a bunch of tall trees and bushes, so we hardly ever saw those neighbors. Our neighbor on the right, however, his name was Steve. He had just moved there less than a year ago at the time. I had only ever spoken with him a couple of times. Both times I could hardly understand what he said because of his heavy accent, and he just overall didn't seem like the friendliest guy. Two of his windows overlooked our backyard. There wasn't much privacy. But whatever rooms the two windows were that overlooked the backyard, I had never seen the lights on in either of them, so I always assumed it was an unused guest room or something of that nature. One day in the summertime, Sam and Robbie were playing in the backyard in their blow-up pool and with their water guns while I was outside doing yard work. There came a certain point where I was walking towards the detached garage, and then I saw Steve next door at his window for a second. Only half a second after noticing him did he turn and walk away from the window. It was slightly odd for sure, but I left it alone.
We can't watch a horror with the dark on. It just makes it more exciting.
Later that day, as the sun was going down, the kids went back outside to play again. It was a very hot day, so they went back in their blow-up pool while Carol and I were in the kitchen as she was making dinner. Then the kids' laughter went quiet for a while, and suddenly Robbie came inside and said there was a flashing light from the neighbor's window. I had to follow him to the backyard to ask him to show me what he was talking about. He pointed to one of Steve's upstairs windows that overlooked the backyard, and he said there was a white light that kept coming from that window. I right away assumed the worst, and asked the twins if it looked like a camera flash. They both said yes. I told them it's time to dry off and come inside. So I helped them dry themselves and then brought them in, where I went to tell Carol about this. She right away assumed the worst.
Just keeps the smell up and shit, you know, bro.
Just like me, she said I should go next door and knock on Steve's door. So I did. But when I did, he never answered the door. His car was even in the driveway, so he had to be home. After a few attempts at knocking and ringing the bell, I gave up and went back to my house. I told Carol he wasn't opening up, which made what the kids said seem even more credible. While we couldn't prove that the white light the kids were seeing was a camera flash, it sure did sound like it, and it was concerning to hear. Some time passed, maybe even weeks, before one night when Carol and I were in the bedroom, we heard our side gate being quietly opened and closed outside.
Oh, shit.
Carol wanted me to go check outside.
Have a pay transparency plan but don't know how to get started? Let us help you put your plan in motion. Say hi to Bob.
So I stepped out into the backyard and looked around. I had on all the lights as I searched. I found nothing and nobody, but I noticed the lights in Steve's backyard were on. I went over to look over the fence into his yard, and I nearly jumped out of my skin when he came up to the fence from the other side and asked if I needed something. I asked him if he'd seen or heard anyone sneaking through our yard. He said no. I took this time to...
You already know. Yes, see, bro. Man, there's no way, bro. Ain't no way. Like, I wouldn't do all that. That's just crazy.
I also asked him bluntly if he had by chance been watching my kids, as they thought someone was at his window taking pictures of them playing in the pool. His reaction to this was a bit suspicious. He acted overly offended to my asking this, almost yelling at me for such an accusation. Again, without proof, I couldn't, nor did I want to, start issues with a neighbor. I apologized and went back
I wouldn't
inside.
give a damn starting the issue.
Carol was not happy about this.
This is my territory, and I'm gonna tell you how it is. Real talk, man. Don't play with me like that.
Shit. The next incident didn't happen until another few weeks later. This time it was in the middle of the night when we were asleep. I woke up to Carol shaking me in a panic. I looked around the room confused at first, but then when I heard the kids screaming from their room, I exploded from the bed and ran downstairs to the kids' room. Robbie was awake and crying, and I found out a few seconds later that his crying and screaming had awoken Sammy, who was crying and screaming in reaction to him. Robbie said there was someone outside the window a second ago, and there was a camera flash from the window.
I wouldn't got goosebumps.
I got goosebumps.
As soon as my family
I also
yelling,
felt my blood begin to boil.
Grabbing the AK-47 or grabbing the priest. Praying all that shit, man, and we getting the hell out of here. Gone.
Boyle. All I could say was, what did he look like? He said he didn't see.
What the hell you mean
I
you
brought the
didn't
kids
see?
up to our room to sleep in the bed with us.
Oh, it's a ghost. For real.
With the lights off, I peeked out our bedroom window to look across at Steve's unlit house next door. I looked at each window of his house, and I found him. He, just like me, was peeking out one of the upstairs windows, in that same room that overlooks the backyard. I stormed outside next door and rang his doorbell like 15 times.
Why the hell you going there to ask the man, is this you? Bro, some people are so friggin' brave. I give them A+. Become me? Gone. Ain't no way, bro. Jose, ain't no way.
I did call the police just to make a report on Steve. That way, if any future reports were made about him from other people, maybe the police department would look into him. I never saw him again. Sometimes I'd sit out front waiting to see him outside, but he'd clearly avoid coming outside when I'd be out there. Because of this, we ended up moving within a month to a new house in a different but nearby town.
Because my boy, my girl, or whatever, it wouldn't be 10 seconds. It'd be one, gone. That's it. Well, yeah.
Has proven to be a better place to raise the kids anyway.
Story 2. Oh, shit.
About 3 months ago, I moved into an
Listen,
apartment
man,
with 2 other
if
women
y'all
so I could
watch
attend
this,
college.
never move in
There's a list
with
of things.
women. Unless you really know this girl gonna be down and stuff, and you ain't gonna have none of the problems, man. Hold on, yo. I do this for them. Just a second. Don't want the smoke going up there. It smells nice too.
Things that make the building we live in not that great. For example, most apartment rooms face the corridor, where people from the same floor as you will constantly walk left and right to get in or out of the building. So if you keep your windows open, anyone pacing outside can see into your room. But considering I spend most of my time at college, and the girls I live with and most of the neighbors are really nice, the things on that list don't really bother me that much. A few nights ago, while getting ready to go to bed, I could hear music
Said the neighbor say that was smoke. Bro, you can't smell nothing.
playing from somewhere, mostly
I
pop
used to go
songs from the
outside and smoke, but
2000s.
it's
Since
winter.
we live in a student-friendly
Do you think I'm going up there? See, real? No. Exactly. Y'all know.
city full of frat houses and the lakes, I thought nothing of it. There were probably a bunch of parties going on and the sound was coming from one of them, or maybe it was just some drunk friends listening to it on the street. I got into bed and let a random video play on my phone so I could fall asleep, as I often do. But as I was starting to doze off, I started to hear drilling noises. At first, I thought I was just sleepy and hearing things, or maybe it was coming from my phone, but I paused the video and listened closely. There was definitely someone
How the
using a
hell
drill somewhere
someone gonna be
nearby.
using a drill in your house?
I got up and walked around.
That's some freaky shit, bro. I'd be out of there. It wouldn't be no, let me investigate. It would be, let me investigate the hell out of there. Come on now, dog.
Around the apartment feeling confused. It was around 11 p.m., so there was no way that someone could be working still. The sound was louder at my bedroom window, so I opened it to check, and quickly realized that it was coming from the neighboring apartment, the one that's closest to my window. At that moment, I realized that music was also coming from there. No one lives in that specific apartment, so my confusion only grew. But then I figured maybe someone had planned to rent it, talked it over with the landlord, and he ordered for something in it to be fixed. Still, the fact that they were doing it so late into a Thursday felt really strange. I went back to trying to sleep, but they wouldn't stop making noise. I was texting a friend and eventually started complaining about it, sending him audios and even a video directed at the window that all the noise was coming from. He said I should call the police because there was no way it was legal for someone to be doing this,
Somebody should
especially
do
in a
that
building
there,
full
bro.
of apartments.
Get the hell out of that house.
I decided against it since I just wanted to get some rest, and it was already past midnight by then. I forced myself to sleep through the drilling sounds, but a little past 1 in the morning, I woke up again, this time to hammering. Feeling stressed, but not enough to take action just yet, I tried to sleep once more, only to wake up again. This time, I didn't even check what time it was. I was totally fed up, so I just put on a robe and made my way to confront whoever it was. The window to the apartment was open, so I decided to talk to those people from there. The window was located above the stairs though, so I would have to go down a few steps to get into view, and I'd look even shorter being seen from there, but that was the last thing on my mind. As soon as I got to the window, I felt most of the courage leave me.
You already
In
know
that
how the story
room,
gonna go.
there were 4 men, who all seemed to
I ain't gonna say nothing. You already know.
be around their 30s or 40s, and they all stopped whatever they were doing to look at me.
See,
Now,
if it
only
had
the
been
song
me,
coming
look
from
at
the
me.
radio could be heard.
Let's go, bro.
And somehow,
Let's go. Let's go. It wouldn't be that. I would have some kind of weapon. Cause I'm like, who, what? But I mean, you was in his territory, so. Actually, no, he was in the house. So what?
It felt chilling to have all those other noises stop so abruptly, because even though that's everything I wanted just seconds earlier, I definitely didn't want to be the one thing these 4 men were focused on. Another thing that bothered me, but I didn't think about until the next day, was those men's peculiar choice of music. It just felt creepy to realize that middle-aged
Here's one thing you need
Bro,
to
you
do
must make
before buying
millions,
anything
because that's all
online.
I see.
Don't spend another dime on Amazon until you watch this first.
men were listening to stuff that teenagers or even preteens would be listening to. Anyway, none of them looked shocked to see me. They just had puzzled "what's that" looks. Remembering why I was there in the first place, I said, "Excuse me, it's pretty late and most people here have work early in the morning. If it's not too much to ask, can you guys do this some other time?" Now, mind you, I'm a pretty short and puny 19-year-old who didn't even think to put on something other than a robe. So when 2 of those 40-something-year-old men came to the window and towered over me, looking up and down at my body, almost like predators, I froze up and felt
I
the
would have
hairs in
been
the back of
gone.
my neck stand
What
up.
in the hell?
They were both sweaty and had their mouths agape, and one of them had a hammer that looked quite heavy in his hand. They started
How the
smiling
hell are
in a
you
sick,
just sitting
twisted
there?
way, and I felt a sudden urge to throw up.
I mean, I guess I'd be froze, but a hammer? I noticed these hands ain't working, so it like, my boy, I'ma burn you down with the house. I mean, it's my house, so yeah, I wouldn't do all that, but you get the picture.
Extremely unsettled, I started slowly making my way back to my apartment, not taking my eyes off the men, feeling like they might try to grab me when I got to the last step of the stairs and close enough to the window. As soon as I was out of their view, I dashed to my front door, got inside, and locked it. One of the girls who lives with me was out of town that night, and I presumed the other one was asleep, since she hadn't seen my text on our group chat asking them if anyone had moved into that apartment. I got back into my room and didn't hear any tools again. In reality, even the radio seemed to have been turned off.
Come on, it's paranormal when someone literally look at you with a hammer. My fist ain't gonna do it, so I'm from the old school. And nowadays people are crazy. So bro, check this out. When someone comes and makes some noise and I don't know you, I'm coming packing with a gun or whatever. I don't know what the hell gonna do it. Now I never holded a gun like that before, but I'm saying now, yes.
Wasn't really sure how to feel about that because now I wasn't angry, just disgusted and creeped out.
What the
I know I
cops
should have
gonna
called
do?
the cops by then. but I
They
was just
take
too
like an
stressed deal
hour
with
to
that
be
any
there
longer.
anyway. Handle that, bro.
Checking the time, it was about 2:15 now. I got into bed again, tricking myself into thinking I wasn't scared, just craving some sleep. Eventually, I passed out. I woke up in the middle of the night again. This time it was around 3:30, and I could hear no sounds coming from the apartment. Everything was quiet, and that quickly started to bother me. It was too quiet. I had to have heard or felt something in order to
Sometimes
wake
when
up.
you watch these horror movies, you be feeling like you in a horror movie. Real talk, man. Real talk.
Silence was making me uneasy, and I had a feeling that someone might have been on the other side of my closed window. I tried not to think about it, but I couldn't get a peaceful sleep after that. The next morning, as I was going out, I went past the same window and noticed that it was closed. It was as if this previous night had never even happened. But I asked the girl who was home with me if she heard anything. She said she had woken up several times during the night, but couldn't get up and do something about it due to sleep paralysis. Either way,
Well,
that
obviously,
confirmed
if
I
the
wasn't
hammer's
delusional.
there, bro,
Those people
ain't
really
nobody
were
coming
there.
with the. No ghost is coming with a hammer. Ghost would just suffocate you. You know what I mean? Lord, I just picture it now, man. I seen someone come in here with a hammer. My boy, you getting socked with a rock and a gun, pistol whipped, and I'm gonna grab a machete like the Mexican people do. We ain't playing. Or the African people. I don't know, man. They be all doing that.
But then, how did they have the keys to
Because
the
you
building
can't
and that
trust people.
apartment?
Someone probably gave
Why
it
did
to
it
them.
seem like they didn't want to be
My
seen
boy, it
during
could be
the
all
day?
kinds of things. It don't even make no sense.
Hey, what were they thinking
What
of
do you
doing
think?
to
They're
me
trying to
or
kill
any
you.
passerby?
It don't look
been a
like
week
someone just not gonna hold a hammer and look at you and smile. That's some creepy shit. You smiling at me, bro, you dying. I don't care. It's over with. Smile at that.
No, and thankfully I haven't seen those men again. Still, I have no idea who they were or what they were doing, and I'm honestly scared to even think about the possibility that they might come back.
Story
Still
3.
be lurking around somewhere.
The last one. Lord, they got more commercials than ever on this one. God dog.
This game, you're not ready for it.
I live in a pretty basic suburban town on Long Island, New York. My girlfriend Sarah and I recently started renting a small house perfect for 2 to 4. We have a decent sized backyard and our house is on a very quiet street. One side of our house has a water drainage basin, as the county calls it, which is just a bunch of trees surrounding a sump. On the other side is our neighbor Kyle, who lives with his wife. They're a bit older in their 60s and quiet. Then directly across the street is a little patch of woods that's in front of another water drainage basin. So for people who like privacy out front, our house is perfect. But then there's the backyard. Kyle's house is blocked off by some bushes that the landlord planted years ago. So besides the house directly behind us over the fence, there's no other houses that could see into the yard. However, that one house looking into our backyard was all that it's taken to genuinely make Sarah and I uncomfortable. As I'm writing
Oh,
this,
thank goodness it's
currently
winter.
the
Because
fall,
if it's in the
so
fall,
we've been doing fall
we would have a
cleanup.
horror movie. A horror show. Real talk.
Last few weeks in the front and backyard. I started noticing any time we were out there were these 2 people standing at the upstairs window of the house behind us. It was a middle-aged man and woman. When I'd look up to that window, they'd keep looking and watching me. It got really uncomfortable to the point we'd pretend not to notice it, but we could only stomach doing this for so long. The leaves kept falling day by day, and the fall cleaning would need to continue. Sarah wouldn't want to be in the yard anymore because she was getting so creeped out at those 2 people who would watch us out the window without fail. So one foggy day while raking, I looked up at the window and once again,
Lord,
the 2
anytime
were
someone's
standing at
standing,
the big
bro, it
rectangular
like
window.
gone. G-O-N-E, gone. Bro, I'm a chicken. I'm not an actual chicken. Like, I'll stand up. But it's
decided
like,
to
with
wave
some
at them
paranoid
and see if they'd
activity,
wave back.
what you gonna do, bro? Use these? They can't even see you. So you ain't gonna see me. Gone.
After a few seconds of smiling and waving,
wait, if
they
it didn't
move.
move, I'm
No
moving.
reaction.
Gone.
But I could feel
What the
their
hell
stare.
you mean it didn't move? You gonna sit there and wait for it? Bro, for real? I be gone. Ain't no way. Jose.
And I could
See,
see their
this thing
eyeballs
is just
looking
like
at
this.
me. I turned away from the window and tried to continue raking.
Yeah, I don't think so. Gone.
But after sneaking a peek back at the window a couple minutes later and seeing them still there, I felt too awkward and weird being out there. I went inside.
Sarah would have got a
said we should
slap
go
in the
over and
face.
introduce ourselves.
Big time. Slap.
First, I was
Right across for asking some stupid question. What you mean we gonna go over to see something paranormal? Sarah, have you been drinking too much? Or you just literally just thought that it would be okay to go see someone? We have no clue what they gonna do to us. Of
was
course.
hesitant of that, but I was
Sarah must be
persuaded to
giving
walk
you
around the
some
block
good,
and turn to
good,
that
bro.
house and ring the bell.
Ain't no way, Jose.
Expected one of those people at the window to answer the door, but instead, the door cracked open,
That-
just enough to see half of a person's
That
head.
ain't what I want to know.
Didn't look like either of those people who were always at the window.
That's some spooky stuff. Stay spooky. Yeah.
It was also super dark in the house, to the point that it looked incredibly ominous and uncanny staring at half of that person's face. This guy looked a lot younger, like in his 20s. Sarah and I tried to be friendly and introduce ourselves. The guy seemed very closed off, though, and not interested in speaking.
Yeah, cause
He had a
what the
very
hell are
what do
you
need
doing
type of
around
attitude
me?
about him.
If
When
I was
asked
that
if he lives
man,
with that-
I would say this. Bro, you just don't come over people's neighbor's house uninvited. Like, unless you was new in the neighborhood, I could see that. Well, was that the case? Because I ain't going over there. And you invite me over to the barbecue, that's a different story. But I'm not just walking over to a neighbor I never ever met before. Unless I'm new in the neighborhood and I need something. But if I see some creepy shit, I'm gonna mind my business. And get it out of there.
anyone else here, like his parents, he said no. I mentioned the man and woman who were always at the window upstairs. The guy on the other side of the door said he doesn't know who I'm talking about.
These
Sarah and I
goddamn
felt really
commercials, man.
So you think you know Wix? Do you really?
Yeah, more commercials than more
First up, we've got Shake.
settled.
the
so we
commercials
just
on
left.
TV.
But weirdly,
Damn.
as we walked down the walkway back to the sidewalk, I noticed the guy behind the door was still peering half of his face through the cracked open door. I'm sure he watched us walk away until we were out of sight. That interaction was weirder and creepier than we were expecting. When we got back home, I went upstairs to our room. The upstairs of our house is only our master bedroom and the bathroom. It has 2 windows. One of the windows looks over to that house over the fence, and I looked out the window to see those 2 people looking out the window again. And even at this distance, I felt like they were staring right at me. I shut the
Nah, I ain't see where I ain't. Just leave it alone. We ain't gonna say nothing. Let's.
blinds and went down to tell Sarah. We agreed it was time to plant some arborvitaes to block their window from view. The only problem is it's already the fall and it's too late to plant any kinds of trees. We have to
Y'all seen how fast I left? That ain't no question. I'm gone.
make it through winter. After a few days of not looking outside the bedroom window or going into the backyard, one night we heard a
Holy
strange knocking
crap!
sound from
I thought
downstairs.
that was my door.
I told Sarah to wait in bed while
These
I went
horror
down.
movies, the horror TV shows, whatever the hell. This is the last one, I think, for the season. Or I think we got one more. No, it might be the last one. 100%.
Downstairs. The knocking got louder, and I quickly discovered it wasn't the sound of knocking on one of the doors, but rather on the glass of one of the backyard windows. The blinds of it were of course shut because we didn't want those creepy people looking into our living room at night. I approached it, and yes, it was 100% a fist knocking on the glass. I considered saying,
And
"Who's
who's
there?"
there?
but I
Who
froze.
gone?
I was
Me?
too scared.
Why are you asking who's there? You know black people do that all the time. Who there? Obviously you don't know, but it's like I ain't gonna say nothing. Oh,
Instead,
smart.
I flicked on the backyard light, and then the knocking stopped. I didn't even want to look out the window or door. I kept the light on, and then went back upstairs to my room, where I told Sarah about the creepy knocking.
You think?
But I claimed that I chased whoever it was away. I exaggerated in fear of sounding like a coward. I also didn't want her to worry. We both imagined it to have been something to do with that house, though. Nothing has
That's
happened
why I don't
since.
fuck with haunted
and I'll have to
houses.
update
None of
throughout
that
the
shit.
winter.
None of that. All of that. None of it.
Update. It's been 2 weeks, and we haven't seen those people at the window ever since. But last night, we heard yelling and screaming from that house. I had to open our window, and it became clear there were muffled yells coming from that
Why the
house.
hell? I would have
fact that
sold
we
my
heard it through
house
2
the
sets of
next day.
closed windows
Gone.
just go-
Oh, that area. Ain't no way, bro. Jose, ain't no way. Jose.
Goes to show how loud the yelling was. Then, out of nowhere, it just stopped and went quiet. We almost called the police, but ultimately didn't. I'll update again if anything else happens, but we're really getting creeped out here now.
Okay. That was some spooky stuff. See, bro, I don't understand why people always like. It's just like you see in the horror movies. People really do that in real life. It's like a super instinct to tell you walk up to someone else's house when they having some paranormal, freaky stuff going on, thinking you gonna survive. Bro, I done tell you, some of these people, man, done locked their head and don't know what the hell going on. Because my super instinct is, see, I got the running fast. Like, I'm like road running with that. I'm Odie here. Tasmanian devil spinning over there. I don't mess with no spooky stuff. I'm a believer in God. But the devil is a lie. You will not get me with none of that stuff. Shoot, man. Like this airplane that my boy gave me. As fast as that goes, I'm gone. My track legs will work like the air coming out of this spray. Ooh, that smells actually good. As fast as that, I'm gone. But you already know, man. We gone. I think this is the end of that, man. I think we got interesting facts coming up. If not, I probably got one more video. If not, y'all see the interesting facts, man. It's 2024. You already know, man. It's the C-Rail Squad. You already know, man. Y'all stay spooky. C-Rail.